We're live. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our May Bimonthly Urbanist Mixer. Yeah, let's give ourselves a hand. My name's Hexel, Colorado. I live here downtown. If you haven't already, I hope everyone's checked in at the front, got a name tag. And if you haven't got a name tag yet, make sure you put your name and the neighborhood or suburb that you live in. So I put Hexel downtown because tonight we're actually going to try to keep the program a little on the shorter side so that we can encourage you guys to talk amongst each other because tonight, a big theme of tonight is going to be ideas and ways moving forward. We just got finished with the DART elections, which was a huge success. So give yourselves a hand. I say we, I should say, the data and all the people who are involved in that, coalition to keep DART in Addison, Highland Park, and University Park. They got 2 out of 3, or the bigger of the 2 out of 3, so I think all things considered it was a success. And so we just got back from Strongtown's National Gathering last week, not last week, this week, just like a few days ago. And so there's a lot of ideas that we're coming away from that, and so I'm really excited to talk about it. So with that, we have some special guests tonight. Let's go to the next slide. Our first one is Adam with Dallas Neighbors for Housing. So give him a hand.
Thank you. Do I have to press anything or just?
Yeah, it's just with a screen.
So just hold it.
Just for recording.
Sure. I don't know about a special guest, but I am here. I am a regular guest here. My name's Adam. I am one of the founders and leaders of Dallas Neighbors for Housing. We're a pro-housing advocacy group, sort of focusing on an all-of-the-above approach in terms of housing affordability and fighting homelessness in the city. So our email right here, our website, is dallasneighborsforhousing.org. You can go ahead, next slide. Looks like the QR code, I don't know if you can adjust that, right? The QR code, oh, there we go, perfect. If you're looking to get involved, that QR code is to join our GroupMe, which is just, I'm seeing a good amount of people, a couple of people in the crowd who are already in there, and it's our way of sort of communicating news, updates, all that kind of stuff. So definitely would love to have you join that. We are a totally members only, or not members only, we're a volunteers only organization. We're a chapter of the national group YIMBY Action, if you're familiar with them, based out of California. But everyone who's here in Dallas, like me, is just a volunteer. I guess I should introduce myself a tiny bit more. I'm going back in the fall, so I can say again, I am a teacher in DISD. I didn't put on my name tag, but I live in Elmwood, and so most of the other people in the group are sort of people like me who are interested in housing, don't necessarily work professionally in housing, but want to make a difference at city council, at the county level. We're very locally focused, I will say that as well. We do Zooms once a month. That's sort of the easiest way to get plugged in, and so we'll be having our next one on the first Thursday of the month. I can't remember that exact date, but first Thursday in June. If you join the GroupMe, we'll make sure to share the link in there, so that's the easiest kind of way. And once you get looped in, I can add your email as well, so that you always get added there. Feel free to also email us. That's our email, More Neighbors Dallas, and then we're on socials in general at NeighborsDTX. And then what we're involved in right now, next slide, is just stuff that is going on that we're involved with. This is something I'm hoping other urbanist groups I haven't talked about it yet because it's still a little bit ways out, but we're planning on going to the World Cup Fan Fest on June 27th. That's a Saturday at Fair Park. I'll probably just be doing the general admission free ticket. Of course, there's, I guess, tiers, but I want us to, just all have a good time, all hang out there. There's not a ton going on right now at the city or county level, but there is something that just sort of popped up on our radars that I do want to make sure I mention that we're going to be getting involved with, which is increasing funding for Housing Forward. Dallas County could potentially have a tax election to provide that dedicated funding, and that of course is right up our wheelhouse in terms of having a dedicated source of funding for homelessness services, which right now most of our funding for homelessness comes from the federal government, which used to be a steady and reliable source of money from HUD, and now of course with the current administration is no longer the case. And so they're looking for ways to really buttress some of their programs that have worked really well and build on successes, as well as just keep things going and make sure that they don't get worse because of the potential loss of funding. I should have said City of Dallas, it says housing reform. I should have put zoning reform. That's our other kind of long-term thing that's going on. Zoning reform is going to take a while, but it's in the process. It's going to be at the committee level for a while. I don't need to go into all the details, but if you're interested, right, in seeing more different types of housing within Dallas that make more sense for, people to buy or rent, I'm talking ADUs, duplexes, townhomes, all that kind of thing. The way to make that actually happen will be hopefully through the zoning reform process. And I would say that there will be other, of course, like Hexel and other groups will be involved with it. But I would say if you're sort of just an everyday person looking to get involved, I think humbly that we are the best group to do that with. So I'll be sitting right over here. I think that's all I got. I'm not taking any questions, right? I don't have to worry about that.
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, I guess I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So have you thought of making new construction that is affordable?
I mean, well, can you expand on that a little bit more? Sure. I mean, yes, we do think about that. What do you mean by that exactly?
Firstly, you're a teacher, right?
Yeah.
You have a very stable job that is recession-proof. In theory, banks should be lending to teachers at favorable rates, And if they lent a mortgage to build new construction on vacant lots, you could theoretically build housing for over $200,000 a year.
Oh, you want me to become a developer? Or, I mean, I have a full-time job, so also becoming a real estate developer would be a lot. I'm trying to build my own, my wife and I are trying to build our own house, but a teacher's salary does not necessarily lend itself to sort of making too much investment type decisions, I guess. But is that what you're getting at, or?
Well, I feel like the reason why housing is expensive is because we don't have enough supply.
Sure. Oh, yeah, of course.
So I don't know, how much have you guys thought of ways to increase the supply?
So yeah, that's what the zoning reform is all about. Is about allowing for those different types of housing to increase supply. That's what So I didn't talk about it too. We also go for specific zoning cases as well that sometimes face pushback from neighbors who traffic. They don't like tall buildings, that kind of thing. And so yeah, we are absolutely yes for increasing the supply of housing in general. That's one of our central themes as a group.
Well, also I want to support support what you're saying, as well as actually answer your question a little bit, because on the one hand, so at Dallas Neighbors for Housing largely focus on moving policy, right? And so advocating for housing policy, advocating for better zoning code and zoning reforms that allow housing to be more affordable and easier and more accessible. So there's the advocacy on the policy side, which Dallas Neighbors does a lot of. And advocacy is something that whether you're a teacher or a student or working full-time or studying full-time is something that anybody can do. On the flip side, on the supply side or who's actually building it, there's actually organizations like the 12 Steps of Town Making, IncDev. I was just on the Incremental Development Alliance bus tour last month, and for those people who do have the capacity to, it doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire or a billionaire, but maybe you have that gumption to become a small scale or micro scale developer, then there's actually opportunities for that. So it actually kind of feeds into one of our next speakers.
Say this is a great segue.
Yeah. We just say I don't know if you're the next slide, but yeah. So there is more thoughts on that. So maybe bring up your question again when we get to that part. But was there one other hand up for Jason? I mean for Adam. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, she's asking where did the homeless people go downtown? Because there's noticeably fewer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert on that, like, so I don't want to say specifically, but, you know, they're still here in the city, right? They're usually, you know, pushed out to places that aren't as convenient to access services, and, you know, basically makes it their day-to-day life harder. You know, so yeah, our sort of central goal long term as a group is to end homelessness, you know, in the city, and simply, like, you know, clearing out downtown in an area is of course not a long-term actual strategy to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, it depends of course on the person in terms of where they ended up. But we're not a huge fan of some of the recent roundups that the police have done recently.
Right.
Or I'm not.
And I will say that would be a great question for, I think, where's Chelsea? Where's Chelsea? Oh, there you are. No, by the way, Chelsea's our staffer. Note for our next mixer in 2 months. Maybe we can try to get someone from Housing Forward to come to our mixer, because they'll probably have a lot to say about that topic. All right, Adam, thank you so much. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you.
I am a huge Dallas Neighbors for Housing fan for a lot of reasons. One of them was when I'm from Dallas, but when I moved back to Dallas proper from the suburbs and started getting involved in advocacy, Dallas Neighbors for Housing was the first one. January 2022, I remember that organizing Zoom call, and I really owe them to being the gateway drug for me towards everything else that we've done. All right, next slide. Who we got next? Oh, I don't have it memorized off the back of my head, sorry. Actually, it is Rick. So speaking of 12 Summit Talent Steps, give a welcome, Rick Adamski.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, just hold it like this.
Yeah, for the recording.
Okay, wonderful. So I want to talk to everybody here, and thank you for setting me up so perfectly. Does anybody here know who Monty Anderson is, by any chance? Okay, we've got some people who do, some people don't. Has anybody here thought of becoming your own developer, maybe even on a small scale, maybe one house, one? Okay, we got a couple people here, good. So what this is, Monty is a person who's worked his entire career, 35 years, doing development in southern Dallas. He was very big when they first did Bishop Arts, the Belmont Hotel. He's not responsible for what it is now, but he made it, really turned it around until about 10 years ago. If you all know places like Tyler Station, downtown Duncanville, yeah, it's right by Sylvan 30. Right? He's not responsible for Sylvan 30. No, he's not. But the Belmont Hotel across the street. What he does is what we might call incremental development. So he's been a national leader in kind of figuring out how to do ground up small scale development instead of just the big, you know, we all know the developments when the big kind of companies come in with a huge amount of money. What he's been able to do is he's been able to not only do it, but to train people to work smaller, more bottom up, more incremental. And he is the co-founder of an organization called the Incremental Development Alliance that started in Duncanville, Texas. And I've been working with him ever since he did that about 10 years ago. So he goes all around the country. He teaches people how to do their own developments. And he's had a huge impact in places like Lafayette, Louisiana, or in South Bend, Indiana. But he doesn't do as much teaching as he should right here in Dallas. So I've been helping him to do that. We have a partnership with the Urban Land Institute, if anyone's familiar with them, to help to get this done. So this is a kind of a theme of what would you build for your neighborhood. And Monty's helping to do this. This is a 7-course session that's going to be starting in June and running through July. It's going to be running on Saturdays. And the idea of this is that there's a workbook that he created. There's a methodology that's been used. He's gone to dozens of communities across the country and talked about his 12 steps for development. So this is a really kind of bottom-up grassroots type of thing. It's like, finding your own farm, finding your place where you develop, finding your people, and how do you actually become not just a developer but a town maker. So we're kind of reaching out to people. We're closing on applications in I guess about 5 days from now on the 27th. We've just extended the date, and I wanted to come. Hexel kindly invited me to come over and to kind of talk about this. So wanted to tell you all about this, about the 12 steps for town making. There's a program application link right over there. It is 7 weeks, but one of the cool things about it is that Monty does one-on-one coaching for people between it. The price of it is $1,200, $800 for ULI members. If cost is a barrier, in some cases we'll be able to give discounts or scholarships. We have kind of a limited amount of them, but if cost is a barrier, we'd encourage you to fill out the application. One of the key things is at the end of this, you'll actually understand kind of these principles of very local town making, and you also will be able to fill out a bank package. So it's kind of a really cool program. It's something I have a lot of respect for, and this is the second class. So just wanted to come and talk to anybody. Feel free to hit me up if you have any questions about it. QR code over there, and also if you go on LinkedIn or whatever, my name is Rick with no C. So if you Google R-I-K Adamski, I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn, everything like that. We probably, if you're an urbanist in Dallas, we probably have some common contacts. So I would love to talk to anybody. There's kind of a second page of the flyer that talks about some of the people who are going to be in there. Well, maybe we don't have the second page. But there's a program application link, and we can talk about who's going to be teaching. But it's a program I have a huge amount of respect for, so I wanted to personally come in and invite anybody. And yeah, any questions or comments or anything like that?
And if you checked in, you'll get a copy of all these slides. And one thing I'll say, so Rick, I'll do a little Q&A here.
Sure.
So if you were to describe in one sentence, who is the target audience that would be interested in taking this course? How would you describe them?
The target audience is somebody who is interested in building in their own community, doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of resources, and doesn't necessarily have a lot of direct experience, but wants to both figure out how to kind of develop, how to get started with something in their own community, and who wants to be part of a larger community of people who are doing something different. So there's a national community of this, but here in Dallas, we've been meeting twice a month for many years for this 12 Steps to Development program, and they talk through all of these things, how to find your farm, how to find your people, how to do something meaningful in your own area. Monty has been able to do things that are very hard for most developers to do, because he has invested in what he calls his own farm and his own place in southern Dallas County. He'll have people call him and wanting to do stuff, but if you go down on Beckley, or you go to somewhere like Tyler Station, or you see what he's done in the Grow DeSoto project, which is a business incubator, this very cool place in what might be considered a very nondescript area. So he's been able to say, I know there's local entrepreneurs here. I know that there's people here who can do things. Monty has invested in places that, for example, on South Beckley, that there haven't really been investments in 70, 80 years. But people said there's nobody here wants to start a business. There's no entrepreneurs. Monty said, I talk to these people all the time. I know that they're here, and I know how much they can pay and what they want to start. And that's the value of having your own farm. So if this isn't the right time for you to join this class, I'd encourage you to Google Monty or to reach out to me, see some of his videos. I think you'll find it to be very cool and inspiring.
Cool. Another question I have is, so small scale development. I just came back from Strong Towns National Gathering, and one of the things that was emphasized was how there's really, there's a well-deserved stereotype of the evil developer. Right. And I say deserved because I think we've all seen examples of those. But because there's, a real problem of like big developers coming in and completely, radically transforming a neighborhood to be unrecognizable, we often lose sight of, maybe even doubt the existence of a small scale developer, and to the point that maybe we don't even know what it means to be small scale. So for the sake of kind of illustrating what it means to be really small, or even micro maybe, what is the smallest example of something that someone built that's gone through this or similar programs? Like, what would be the smallest example of a small scale development?
So I'll give you some very small examples, and then I'll scale it up a little bit for you, Hexel. So if someone sees a house, and there's been a lot of times in the program where someone sees a house, realize that they can fix it up, and that can be a small scale development. Or if someone builds a single coach house, a small kind of granny flat or a small building, that's considered a win in this program, right? And this is not for one of the things that they say when they go through the 12 steps of developers. This isn't for house flippers necessarily. This is for town builders. You might flip a house at one point to keep things going, but you're building a town, you're building a community, and you're investing in your place. So if a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, anything like that, where you're taking something, building something, and fixing it up, what our places need are a lot of those types of things, right? If you have a downtown, sometimes if someone's coming in and building even 50 units, that's sometimes considered small in the industry. But you need someone to say, let's fill in this one space and let's build a duplex. Let's fix up this one house or fix up this one little apartment building. Let's fix up this storefront, right? We need people to take modest investments because this is how we've traditionally done things. And ordinary people, can get a loan to build a quadplex, right? You can get a loan to build a small apartment building or even just a duplex, live upstairs, and then do the ground floor. One reason why Monty, when he goes to places like South Bend, or other places where he's had a big impact, people get mad at him because they say, I want to do 20 units, or I want to do 20 apartments. Monty usually has to chill them down. That's what we saw a lot in the first class that we did in Duncanville. He has to say, let's start with 2, let's start with 3, let's start with something modest. But that's really how, if we talk about urbanism, and you saw this in Strongtown. So I've been involved with Strongtowns from the beginning, even though I couldn't make their last conference. But what Strongtowns kind of says is, this has to be about taking one step at a time. This can't be about these big grandiose things that we normally do. That's why everybody hates developers, or most people do. This has to be, what's the next step you can take? How do you support someone local? And how do you take the next step after that? And to me, Monty is somebody who I've worked with for about 12 years. I have a deep admiration for the stuff that he does. I think that it's definitely special. And so, I'm helping with this class. I'm kind of co-teaching the class, but the reason why I've really been pushing for it and wanted it is because I think there's a huge amount to learn from him about this. So I think that, this class, I think this is a great deal. If money is a factor for people, like I said, there may be a way to get scholarships. I understand that. But getting one-on-one coaching from him, what he's been able to do, for example, if anybody here, does anyone here know the Grow DeSoto market? Okay.
Grow DeSoto.
Grow DeSoto. So this DeSoto marketplace, I helped from the beginning with this. This was a very, very nondescript strip shopping center in DeSoto, Texas. This was the old Ace Hardware. If you all check it out now, you have 7 micro restaurants, micro retails, 95% black-owned businesses, small offices and things like that. Like, this has become this really cool location, and it's something that would otherwise be nondescript, and it's because of this very kind of ground up, very entrepreneur-based approach that Monty takes. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Rick, very
Thank
much.
you,
Let's
Hexel.
give him a hand. Yes. Oh, actually, and before we go, so there's the course, right? There's also, isn't there a event that's also held bi-monthly or twice a month?
So there's an event at Tyler Station. Does anyone know Tyler Station? Okay, most of you do. So that's another Monty development, which was vacant for about 30 years. There's an event at Wax Space at Tyler Station, which incidentally is called Wax Space because it's where they invented wax paper.
Invented wax paper.
They invented wax paper in the factory that's now Tyler Station. But they have it twice a month. 12 Steps, a small development program. If you hit me up, I'll get you on the email list. I co-founded it, so I used to go twice a month. I can't find my way to make it twice a month anymore. but this is about that program. So they're meeting twice a month to talk about each of these 12 steps, which is, it's like you're going through the basics over and over again. Monty himself has been part of a 12 steps program for about 30 years. So he sees it as an interesting thing. But of course, this is a different topic, but it's still about, he found the take the simple things and repeat it over and over again and make sure that you're doing it. Make sure that you're doing things like sticking to your farm, like cleaning, like sharing with other people, like, connecting with your place, connecting with your farm. These sort of simple principles that he hammers together over and over again. And I've found them to be they're very transformative. There's a workbook that comes with this that's really fascinating because it's about those steps and it's about going through it. Monty co-authored it, but a lot of it is about how you get your life together too. How you get your life together so you can be prepared to do this kind of work. So it's an unusual approach, but it's nationally respected, and I think it's really cool to have it, that he's bringing the classes here to Duncanville, down to Duncanville where it originally started. And into his own offices. So thanks.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much, Rick.
No, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be around for us to ask questions, right? All right, thank you, Rick. Yeah, so if you want to get just a taste of 12 steps, there's a twice a month event that you can attend for free. That's the one at Tyler Station. And if you're like, okay, I want to get all 12 steps, I want to, kind of plow forward with it, then there's the program. And maybe not most people here, but maybe you guys know someone who's like that. Like maybe you know someone outside of this room who has like, man, I want to do something about that vacant, abandoned CVS on Lower Greenville, as an example. Or I want to put a park here in this neighborhood. So anyone who has aspirations to do something actively, build something actively in the community, even as if it's something very small, these are the folks to do it.
One more piece of context. At the end of this class, the goal is for everybody to have a development package that they could bring into a bank. So this actually moves you through it quickly enough. We had not most, but about half of the students were actually able to come up with a development package at the end of it. So even if you end up working with a different site, you can bring that to a bank and have it have some credibility.
That's an amazing context. Oh, okay. Ask that question again in the mic. That's actually a really good question.
First of all, thank you for teaching people how to become a developer. I think the main problem with housing is that we have too little competition in the market. You just have Lennar, maybe D.R. Horton. There's not a lot of little guys around. But I work in finance. I came from Singapore before I moved here. There's universal housing in Singapore where the government builds housing like crazy and prices it appropriately. So I was curious, how do these developers get financed? Because it seems you target people who don't have their own capital.
So I'm going to challenge you, Rick. Answer this question in a way that's not just brief for brief's sake, but also so it doesn't give away too much of what the program is supposed to teach. But you give us a taste of it, just so.
What we're doing is creating a network so that you may say, I don't have capital, but I can do these steps of this type of work in the background, and you may be able to get together with somebody with capital. The key is you only learn so much in the class, but the real power of this class is that you can get tailored access to Monty and others within the program between classes. So that if you had a specific question like that, like this is my situation, how do I get funding for this particular project? There may be ways to do it within the network. Let's say you're an architect, let's say you're a contractor, let's say that you have some other set of skills, you may be able to get together with somebody who has funding and network in that way and do something specific.
That's a really good answer. Answer the question, roughly? Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And then one thing I'll say from the tour that we did last month, even my eyes are open that if you're starting out and maybe you're not just sitting on capital, right? They gave us this tour of these places in Dallas and Fort Worth where maybe it was part of a historic reuse, right? Maybe there's a 100-year-old commercial strip that's got beautiful, got a lot of character, and what they reveal in the tour is that there are financing opportunities, there are tax credits specifically for like historic adaptive reuse, or if it's an opportunity zone. And so there's opportunities and financing just out there that people might not know about, and that may apply if you're doing some development in a really good and beneficial way to the community. And programs like 12 Steps connect people with those opportunities. So Rick is going to be around. Give him one more hand. All right, next up, we got another regular, one of our favorites, Becca Kornblum from the Dallas Bicycle Coalition. So Becca, come on up.
Is this for like a
Just for
video?
recording.
Oh,
Yeah,
recording. Okay. So I was like, there's no projection. Hi, everybody. My name is Becca Kornblum with the Dallas Bicycle Coalition. Our mission is to make Dallas a better place to ride a bike through making our streets safer and encouraging more people to ride and growing the bike community. So I have a few updates. They're all here, and the biggest update is that we need volunteers. So more to come on that. But you might hear some chatter about Houston Jefferson and the convention center. And it's working its way through council right now, and everything is changing quickly. So I will say that our goal as the Bike Coalition, and I hope you'll support us in this, is to support the Houston Viaduct Greenway, which would remove cars from the Houston Viaduct and move them over to Jefferson. The traffic levels support that. It complements the entertainment and business goals of the convention center. And it would be different for Dallas to make that choice, but it's a possibility. So but just pay attention to our social media, Instagram, and our email newsletter, but Houston Jefferson. Okay, so the city of Dallas is doing a bike count. And we're working with them on that. I don't have a lot of details, just that it'll be tentatively these 4 dates, which are a Wednesday and a Friday in June, in the morning commute and the evening commute, and we will need volunteers. Currently, we don't count cyclists in Dallas. We don't have the technology, and this would be a manual option. And so we're kind of flying blind. Who's biking? Where are they biking? How do we build infrastructure that serve those people? I mean, obviously we need a bike network, but having this data would be really valuable for us. The World Cup, of course. So Harold Simmons Park is a brand new park opening on West Commerce. It's kind of a soft opening. They're doing a Dallas Soccer Fest to celebrate the World Cup. We're hosting a bike valet Saturday, May 30th. We will need volunteers. We host a coffee social every second Saturday, so come hang out with us. Drink coffee, you don't have to ride a bike. Or we host a ride after that. Skip the coffee, come for the ride, do both. We're really flexible. We just want to see you and talk about bikes and talk about making Dallas streets safer every second Saturday. The next one will be June 13th with the Dallas Pride Ride as our partner at Union Coffee in Oaklawn. And the last update is that our membership is live. So if you want to support us financially, so we make it really accessible. For $50 a year is our base level, or $5 a month, and it goes up from there. This is how we're going to grow the Bike Coalition sustainably. And our members are partners in our work. So when it comes to electing candidates who support safe streets, who support biking, walking, transportation, our members show that that's a popular choice in Dallas. So I hope you'll all become DBC members. And that's it.
All right. Oh, any questions? Any questions for Becca about bicycling in DFW in general? All right. Well, thank you very much, Becca. Okay. Next up. Oh, do we have? Oh yeah, there she is. All right. So we heard from Dallas Neighbors earlier, and now for Dallas Housing Coalition, we have Emily Hong. Emily, welcome. Oh, and stand over here. There you go.
Hey, hi, I'm with the Dallas Housing Coalition. Yay. Okay, so I just wanted to say, I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I think it's really cool that Okay, save the date. Yeah, some exciting things happening. We already talked about zoning reform. As we know, it's coming up. So the summer is kind of the time to get out there and educate everybody. So coming up soon, there's going to be a happy hour with the Housing Facilities Corporation, the Public Facilities Corporation. They've helped lead a lot of the new developments like the Marcus and the new developments around Garland Quarter. You can go to our Instagram to see the reels that I made about those. But they, if you all aren't familiar with them, they provide government incentives to build affordable housing. And then there's going to be a party-ish event about the history of racialized zoning in Dallas at Life in Deep Ellum. Should be interesting. Rancho Rosas Fair in July. August through October, there'll be a series of block parties throughout various neighborhoods in Dallas, mostly like swing district council member neighborhoods, in collaboration with Better Block and some just by ourselves. It'll be opportunities to, like, again, show up in support of zoning reform and learn more. Bring your neighbors that, you know, maybe don't know about zoning reform and don't care about it because they haven't been taught about it before. Should be social, community grounded, local, and they'll be like cumulative. So each party will focus on its own thing. And then third annual housing summit happening in November again. Panelists from all over the city. It's a great place to convene. Yay. And then follow us on all our social media channels. Yay.
Thank you, Emily. All right. Moving along, our next up, who do we have? Oh, our very own Kui Lee for the Dallas Area Transit Alliance. Let's give him a hand.
So I'm gonna be walking around a little bit because I also gotta do some slides and some of the audio stuff.
Oh, just you know.
But for the most part, my name's Queely. I'm the events coordinator for the Dallas Area Transit Alliance. We basically advocate for the riders as the main rider organization in the Dallas area about anything from frequency, pull-out elections, or just anything that makes transit better in Dallas. So if we go to our next slide, I have one kind of little video I want to show here because as you may be aware or may not, recently the CEO of DART left and she made a very nice video and she addresses data and the, what is it called? Citizens Advisory Committee, but I think it applies to everyone that is sitting here right now. So
I just click the link?
Yeah, click the link and then let me unmute. And then just scroll down and hit play. Scroll down and then click.
And DART wouldn't be where it is without you all. So I hope you will continue to work with that lots because it'll only get things. The CAC and data. I already said this to you all earlier, but you know, if you all hadn't, you know, really come about and created this advocacy organization for the writers, I don't know what I would have done because I needed you probably as much as you needed me, right? And what I've said to a number of people, both in the CAC and in data, is we did a lot of great work together. And I hope you'll continue to be vigilant because the writers need you, and DART will listen to you because you are the writers. And so I hope you will continue to fight for DART the way you have been. You've been so targeted, so focused, so organized, so eloquent, and so, I mean, I think I said this to some of you, like all the times that I had to sit at the dais and listen to comment after comment, and I really wanted to jump out of my chair and cheer, but of course I couldn't. So inside, I was having a big party, like cheering you guys on. Gosh, you know, Rich, Jeff, thank you for coming.
And that was that. So we want to thank Nadine so much for everything that she's done. Oh yeah, and so I didn't do this last time, but I just wanted to show that the last 2 weeks we've been very busy. From going to Nadine's going away party to doing the Dallas bike ride to being at the Texas Rail Advocates or whatever I don't remember. Huh? Southwest Rail Conference. There you go. Thank you so much for correcting me. And then on the right here, I have a very funny photo of Gary Slagle at the Addison Watch Party, where there was a very great celebration that Addison stayed in Dart, and he was dressed as a colonel for unrelated reasons whatsoever. It was not related to him coming to be dressed as a colonel.
And for context, Gary Slagle is current board member, former chair of the DART Board of Directors.
Yes, yes. He is a former chair, but he's still a board member, and we love him so much for doing that. I'm going to toss it over now to Patrick here. This is Patrick Morgan. He is our parliamentarian and all known RTC follower. So he'll explain more about some of the things that are going on the within the MPO that is happening, and you can explain what an MPO is.
Yeah, so there's some like really weird politics going on the regional level. So RTC is the Regional Transportation Council, and they're kind of like the clearinghouse for all federal funds that fund transportation projects in our region. About a year ago, the COG Executive Board, the Council of Governments Executive Board, hired a new executive director, and the executive board is kind of fighting with RTC about who is actually responsible for funding transportation projects. So earlier this month, Michael Morris, who's the director of transportation, actually got fired. RTC was not very happy about that, and Denton County actually filed a lawsuit about it and got Michael Morris rehired. Collin County, sounds like they're kind of driving some of this stuff. I have like public meetings I can send you if you want more information. They swapped out their RTC representative, Commissioner Duncan Webb, because they were mad that he voted for the $75 million that go to DART, even though that money was from accounts that would never go to Collin County in the first place. And then at the last RTC meeting, RTC signed this new agreement with TxDOT that kind of clears up this whole mess about who actually is responsible for funding transportation projects, who is the actual MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, under the Federal Transportation Code. The COG Executive Board has 30 days to also sign that agreement. If the COG Executive Board doesn't agree to that, then there's going to be a whole lot of drama about like who pays the staff and where do the staff live and stuff like that. And the COG's next meeting is May 28th, so we'll get to see how this all shakes out on that day. So yeah. And if you have any questions about that, I don't want to do that here because that's like getting into the weeds, but I will yap to you about this after the mixer. So.
Oh.
Oh yes, and so this was when Michael Morris got rehired and returned to the office, and all the staff was very happy to see him return. So.
How long was he out?
Like 8 days.
Fired for
maybe
8
2
days
weeks.
and then rehired after 8 days.
It's just the way there were lawsuits. Oh yeah, and Michael Morris has been the director of transportation for like 30 years. So I think that's when he started at COG. But he has built or funded basically every major piece of transportation infrastructure in our region for the last 30 years. So like 183, 635. He's done a bunch of funding for DART. He did a bunch of funding for TexRail. All that has run through RTC. So.
Great. Is that it? Okay. Could you talk a little bit? I don't think that I saw a slide for it. There's some. Okay. So Another thing to keep in mind that was talked about at our data meeting. So data, we have this bi-monthly mixer every other month. Data meets every month, and we typically try to match the mixer night with the data meeting.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, so there's a lot that we don't want to repeat from that earlier meeting because it was like 2.5 hours or 3 hours. So definitely don't know to repeat all 3 hours. But there was one more thing I think I wanted to mention is we brought up the upcoming election. So who voted this May? Okay, good, yes.
Who has voted twice this May?
Yeah. So Dallas has a notoriously low voter turnout, and part of why the voter turnout is so low, a variety of reasons, but one of those reasons is people just not aware when elections take place, because they just know about the presidential one in November every 4 years, and then they kind of skip out on all the others. So there are runoff elections coming up. Yes, there you go. So there's a runoff election coming up May 26th.
Yeah, early voting was this past week. There's no Saturday early voting for this election for some reason. Voter suppression.
Yeah, so what's coming up?
So
Tell us about
election
that.
day is this coming Tuesday. There's a handful of races for either party on it. The biggest one are like governor and lieutenant governor.
Yeah, come
on
back to
the
this other
Democrat
slide, previous slide. So
Yeah.
everybody, I assume everyone in this crowd at least would recognize how major those positions are. So this Tuesday, I think no matter what party you're in, everybody's voting in this runoff, right?
Yes, both parties have. Everybody will have something to vote for. There's also not on this list. There's some congressional races. So if you're in
Yeah,
the
so there's
new District 33, that's Julie Johnson versus Colin Allred. If you're in Dallas County, there's a couple county judges that you should vote on because there's a bad judge on one of those races. You can listen to Loserville to know which one you should vote for.
So yeah, so there's a long list here. We'll send out the email to everyone who's checked in, but I wanted to make sure we didn't miss that there's an election coming up once again that everybody here can participate in and vote in.
Since I work for Dallas County Elections, can I say a quick word?
Oh yeah, sure.
If you go to our website, dallascountyvotes.org.
No, don't whisper. Yeah, project.
Yeah, go to dallascountyvotes.org. You can do it on your phone right now, and look for sample ballot. Now, it's a primary. It's a party primary, so you have to pick either Republican or Democrat, and you can view your sample ballot. If you're at the office tomorrow and you want to print it, tomorrow, never mind. But if you have a printer at home, you want to print it out, you can actually just fill it out, stick it in your pocket, have it all ready, and they don't allow you to use your phone. It's a state law. But go ahead and go to dallascountyvotes.org, and you can see your own personal ballot of what you can vote for and what you cannot vote for.
Oh, question?
Yes. You can vote at any polling location in the county. Yes.
Oh, so yeah, so this is a huge topic because I'll be honest, even I forgot that there was an election coming up this Tuesday, and I just was reminded about it at the data meeting. So I imagine I'm probably not the only person. So any other questions about the upcoming election? All right, so if you do have, if you have any questions, we have a official for Dallas County, and I think that's it. What are you holding up? Okay, so if you live outside of Dallas County, then talk to Kui for questions about voting. Was that it for data? No, no, for data updates.
Oh, also, yes, there are a couple municipal
Oh, there are?
runoff.
Oh, whew.
More elections.
Yes, if you
Uh,
live anywhere in Farmers Branch or Irving, you're not done yet.
And I think I heard Arlington also has a runoff. But they're outside the dark service area, so we didn't do slides for them.
Oh, okay. So, but we do have some Arlington and Frisco people here, so yeah, watch out, Arlington, Frisco. You have an election coming up too. Anything else?
Pretty sure that's it.
Okay, that's it? All right, so in case we missed any though, definitely check your, Dallas County Votes website or wherever you live. Keep an eye out because you're not done yet. You're not off the hook for voting. With that, all right, so thank you, Data. All right, so now it's my turn to talk. I'm probably doing double feed here, so hold that. All right, so I want to talk about hyper-local conversations. So right now we're having our bi-monthly mixer. This is something that we put on. You can see how this works now. We bring in different organizations from across the city. And as you may have noticed, like all of the things that we've talked about are pretty broad, pretty general, right? Kind of like a random sampling from different parts of the city or that apply to the entire city as a whole. But part of our mission at Dallas Urbanists is we're trying to foster conversations around walkability in Dallas neighborhoods, and so basically where you live. So one of the challenges that we've run into is, let's say you live in far north Dallas or Cypress Waters. So you live on one side of town. It's really hard for you to get involved in, say, a bike lane or a road diet in Oak Cliff or Redbird, right? Or maybe you live in uptown Oak Cliff, and the conversation around uptown will be very different from the conversation around Midtown, like in Vickery Meadows or the Village. And so to solve that kind of sprawl, kind of spread out problem, Dallas Urbanists is a local conversation, so we're part of Strongtown's network of local conversations. We started this year something we're calling hyper-local conversations. And we've had several hyper-local conversations run so far. So while this mixer is bi-monthly or every other month, these hyper-local conversations are every month. And while the stuff that we talk about here at the mixer is across the entire city or entire Dallas area, all of these hyper-local conversations are focused on walkability within that specific neighborhood. And so the way I like to define it is a hyperlocal conversation is a monthly gathering, neighborhood specific, where residents gather and explore ways to improve walkability where they live. Everything we talk about is surrounding improving walkability one way or another, whether that means in a very direct way with filling sidewalk gaps or road diets, or that might mean commenting on zoning reform so that we could have more dense housing and more walkable developments, or that might mean supporting a bicycle lane. And so because of that, there's also this continuous collaboration between Neighbors for Housing, Bicycle Coalition, Housing Coalition, all of these groups in our orbit, data. But it creates an opportunity and space for us to talk about walkability that any one of us can see in our daily lives because it's where we live as opposed to somewhere on the other side of town. So we have 5 active hyperlocal conversations going on. We have our first hyperlocal conversation for Uptown Oaklawn this Monday. So 6:30 p.m. at Union Coffee. The meetup registration QR code is there. Also, all of these are on our meetup page. If you find DallasUrbanist.com, Dallas Urbanists on Meetup, or you go to our website and click calendar, you'll find all of these there. So that's Uptown Oaklawn, that's that neighborhood. If you live in those neighborhoods or adjacent to it, you're welcome. Midtown, this is going to be our third one, May 27th, so this Wednesday. If you're familiar with Walnut Hill Station, this is at the Civil Pour at the Hill, so basically right next to the station. 7 o'clock. Downtown, y'all know where downtown is, but it's actually just the next street over on Commerce at the Pegasus City Brewery. That's going to be on Thursday. So next week we've got quite a heavy, quite a big schedule. Here's some photos that we've taken just so you get a sense of the vibe. We always kind of get together. We always have some kind of map activity. Next slide. Also, we just inserted this randomly. If you see John, where are you? There's John. Thank you for all these beautiful photos. So I told him I'm really thankful that we have all these photos because not everybody has such a repository of like really aesthetic and photogenic. He takes so many shots, like we've talked about this. Like he really makes sure he takes like hundreds, maybe even thousands of photos sometimes so that your good sides show. So we have destroyed all of your bad side photos. So you can thank John for that. But also to say that's, John's not able to be everywhere. And so actually, if you have a skill with the camera and you'd like to help take photos of our hyperlocal conversation or this mixer, please see me or Chelsea because that is a volunteer position that we often need. So next slide. All right, so moving along, Far North Dallas. That's going to be at the Mad Hatter at City Line. So that's actually technically in Richardson. But I will say about the Far North Dallas hyperlocal, that's our largest. So for each of these hyperlocal conversations, we have like just a general target area that we're trying to serve with each group. But the Far North Dallas one is kind of our, to be honest, it's kind of our catch-all for anyone who lives basically north of 635. So maybe you live in Far North Dallas proper, or maybe you live in Addison, Richardson, Plano. We've kind of chosen, we always choose our locations to be very transit friendly. So this is on the Silver Line stop at City Line. So you can get there by the Silver Line, Red Line, or Orange Line, which means if you live in Cypress Waters, for example, then this is easily transit accessible for you. So also that being said, to Far North Dallas, this year everything's kind of like a pilot where everything we're doing with these hyperlocals is helping us figure out, refine how these hyperlocal conversations work. And so part of the thing I want to mention with Far North Dallas is this year we are treating it as like our catch-all, but maybe by this time next year, as more people participate and we got a better sense of like what are the neighborhoods within Far North Dallas, we might see that split up, right? Maybe instead of all Far North Dallas, maybe there's a UTD area, or maybe there's a Greater Addison area. I don't know. I keep saying Greater Addison, but then the Addison people kind of like cringe at me, so I don't know. Or Cypress Waters. So that's a kind of a note about Far North Dallas, is even if you don't technically live within that, geographic boundary, it's our catch-all for all of our Far North people. Here's some more photos from inside the home. This was from our first one where it was hosted inside John's home. But our next one will be in a different location. But you can see it's very a round table type of conversation. All right, next. We're going to have our second Cedars meetup. That's going to be at Lee Harvey's. And that's going to be facilitated by Tammy and Ken. So Tammy and Ken, can you raise your hands or stand up? Yeah, there's Ken. And where's Tammy not here? Oh, you guys swap out. She was at the data meeting. So Tammy and Ken, they're a husband-wife duo. They'll be facilitating that one. And I think, yes, so this was a photo from our first one. No, that's not Lee Harvey's, but that was at the Full City Rooster. Wait a minute, are you guys meeting at? Full City Rooster, you had a photograph. Yeah, so that, our first meeting was at Full City Rooster, but the next one's going to be at Lee Harvey's. Oh, it's still going to be at Full City Rooster. Okay, so that slide is incorrect.
Close enough.
Okay, I mean, they're close to each other. They're around a corner from each other. So Full City Rooster is the correct location. We have our tentative schedule planned out for the rest of the year. So the next one is June, but we have July, August. And then next slide, I don't know if there's one. Okay, so go back real quick. So one thing I want to say about hyperlocal conversations in general, we currently have 5, because 5 is I would say like the max that I have the ability to personally be at one time. The goal is that number one, we want to have a hyperlocal conversation in every neighborhood in Dallas. But in order to get to that scale, we need to have leaders in each neighborhood kind of carrying that forward. And so if you live in a neighborhood, either one of these neighborhoods or maybe one of the neighborhoods we haven't mentioned here, and you'd like to see a hyperlocal conversation start in your neighborhood, let us know. And for every conversation, we're always looking for someone to be a leader. And to make that commitment feel a lot less daunting, what does it mean to be a conversation leader? Well, basically what you see me doing here today, but you don't have to prepare a lesson plan. You don't have to do a whole lot of research. Basically, if you're good at running a meeting, running a show, you don't have to be a professor, but you're able to kind of just help facilitate an agenda, keep it moving forward, then yeah, you are the perfect person for a conversation leader. So number one, it's not going to be super, technical. You're going to have me and Chelsea and a whole bunch of other volunteers helping you each month prepare the agenda so that you don't have to do it all on your own. But then also, again, to make it easier for people to kind of step up into that role, kind of make it less scary, you can be a conversation leader for one meeting. You could be a conversation for the summer or for the fall or just for the year. Or maybe you're so gung-ho and in love with your neighborhood, maybe you want to just be the permanent one. So whether you want to do just one or several, you can actually kind of adjust or choose based on your availability or based on your energy. And so the basic thing is that we're really trying to find people local to each neighborhood to be that face who's facilitating the conversation. So that's hyperlocal. Next slide. And so Strong Towns National Gathering, like I said, we just came back from that. And what I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about when it comes to the gathering is that we came back with a ton of ideas, a ton of actions we can do. And there's a great photo. If you guys recognize Chuck Marone, he's in the center there. There's Chelsea. There's Jake. Jake, you're here. And then we have like Warren, our chair. And we also have people from all over Texas. So we have Denton. We have there's also, so we're the Dallas Urbanists is a Dallas local conversation. There's also a stronger Denton. So there's a Denton hyperlocal conversation. Denton local conversation. We also met people from Austin and Houston. So this is basically all of Texas right here. The woman in the wheelchair we met just this past week. She's from Nacogdoches. So this Strong Towns movement is really national. We had a lot of fellowship time with Strong Towns Chicago. And so yeah, we had a real meeting of the minds, and we came back with a lot of ideas, and that presented us with an opportunity but a risk. On the one hand, there's so many great things that we can accomplish as volunteers, as advocates. On the flip side, it's too much for any one person, right? And so one of the conversations, or one of the sessions I had was with other local conversations in other cities. And I'm not going to just lay down all of the jargon and things that we learned over this past week. But one of the big things that other local conversations in other cities have advised is really to look at your members and your volunteers and find out what they're already interested in, and really allow those ideas for projects to come from the ground up. Because if you're trying to come from the top down and say, oh, do this in this neighborhood, do that in that neighborhood, it gets very difficult because you're trying to find people and convince them to get excited about something, versus if you find what people are already excited about and work with that, then you have your volunteers right at the gate. And so what I want to I don't have a slides for every single one of these, but I want to take a moment to kind of list out what are the things that if anybody here wants to do it or wants to help with, then Dallas Urbanists is here to help facilitate that, whether it's across the city or for a very specific neighborhood through a hyperlocal conversation. Here are the things that if you want to step up and do it, then let's talk. So first, of course, is facilitating, being a leader for these hyperlocal conversations. Number two, if you want to lead a walk audit or a bike audit in your neighborhood, that is something that many of us took lessons on, and we've also done with Bicycle Coalition to do. So there's people who've done walk audits and bike audits before. I think Becca did the first walk audit in several years back in 2023. If you want to do a crash analysis studio, so what that means is that if you had witnessed or were part of a very serious crash or injury or maybe even death in your neighborhood, and you don't want that tragedy or loss of life to go to waste, Crash Analysis Studio is a program that Strong Towns offers that allows you to get together a group, do an analysis of what caused this crash, how do we fix it so that a crash like this doesn't happen again. Maybe that means a road diet, maybe that means adding a stoplight or a controlled intersection. So Crash Analysis Studio is one example. Another thing is, so maybe some fun things that we saw other conversations do is trivia night. So actually we did this with Dallas Neighbors for Housing, but we saw some others that have done it, and we'd love to do like a trivia, another urbanism trivia night that's also, so last time we did it with Dallas Neighbors, it was a kind of like, you come and it's kind of a competition because you're coming with the knowledge you already have. But an idea that we got from someone else was having a trivia night, but making it a trivia night that you can study for. So for example, if we put out, hey, this trivia night is going to be based on our zoning reform or a zoning code or specific housing projects, or it's going to be about, let's say, specific projects in the master bike plan update. So by letting people know what exactly we're going to cover in the trivia, then people can study for it. And what ends up happening is people can study for it if they want to, do well. But even if they don't compete, or maybe they're in it just for fun, people end up learning. So it's really more about creating an excuse for people to learn and study something and gamifying it as, and so the trivia is just kind of like a fun thing at the end. So a trivia night. Also, I'm going to talk about some more other broad things that if someone wants to pursue as a campaign, then we at Dallas Urbanists are happy to keep that conversation going. Land value tax. This is a very nerdy, but this is one of those things that if you don't know about it, you don't know about it, but if you do know about it, it's a incredibly transformational thing. Raise your hand if you know what land value tax is. Okay, keep your hand up if you think it's feasible. There's a political way forward in Dallas. Keep your hand up if you believe that. Yeah, so I see a lot of hands going like here because you're like, well, I don't want to say no, but it feels very far-fetched right now. So what I learned at Strong Towns National Gathering is actually there is a way forward. This is something that if someone in here would like to pick that up, Strong Towns Houston is really active on this topic because Houston had a land value tax at one point. I didn't know that. And what I also didn't know is that in as much as the current state law doesn't allow for land value tax, there's movement to change that. There's a lot of incentive among the political crowd right now because land value tax is a way to reduce your effective property tax without reducing the net revenues to the cities. So because there's a large movement around reducing property tax or property tax burden in Texas, this is a solution that's gaining legs. So this is something that we are like at the very beginning of that bell curve, right? Maybe by this time next year or in 2 years, it'll be like, oh, everybody knows about land value tax. But right now, we're in that like very early thing. But then also, I learned that there's this thing called a universal housing exemption, where it's basically land value tax as a backdoor through a back door. So if you know what that is, or if you'd like to learn what it is, then let me know because, and then one more thing that I did not know, at one of these events we had John Norquist, former mayor of Milwaukee, and actually one of the founding.
I used to work for him.
Oh, wow, yeah. So,
Here?
no, not here, but actually in Chicago. I'm combining two things. He gave a talk about land value tax, and what I also didn't know, I walked into that room thinking land value tax was not really politically feasible. But then, one of the things that he revealed is that the actual trend right now, more and more cities are adopting it, But what they're doing is they're applying land value tax for specific districts. So if you're like, oh, it's going to be very difficult to convince an entire city or entire county or entire state, what they're actually doing is doing a land value tax specifically like in the downtown or specific neighborhoods where there's a lot of empty land or a lot of underused parking lots. Because that, for our urbanist crowd, maybe you don't know much about land value tax, but what for you guys, one of the many benefits is it actually incentivizes developers to stop sitting on their empty land and just getting that speculative value. If you've got a house or you've got a building that's already developed and it's active use, your taxes don't change. But if you're sitting on empty land, ruining the walkability and increasing the heat island for everybody else, land value tax penalizes that and incentivizes development of places that are empty and are just being sat on. So if you live in a neighborhood like, let's say, Midtown, up down Greenville, and you see all of these empty parking lots around the rail stations, or you see that abandoned CVS that's boarded up and not been occupied for 6 years, land value tax would significantly change that, change incentives around that. So that's another thing that we came back with. I mentioned walk audits, walking tours, crash analysis studio, road diet projects. Okay, raise your hand if you were there. I mean, I know it's a few of us. Jake, could I have you come up real quick? I know you weren't coming. And Chelsea, actually, you too. Who else who went? I think it was of the people in the room. Okay. Tell us real quick. I know you weren't preparing to speak, but what was some of the other sessions? Because I'm actually talking about just the one that I've been to personally. Yeah. What were some of the sessions that you attended that could possibly be picked up here in Dallas?
So you mentioned InkDev earlier. So you mentioned InkDev earlier. A lot of the walking tours were of, I guess, the builders behind their project. So it was interesting to see their insights and their experience. There's also, I'm sure they're going to publish this, but there's a few case studies. Like I guess you can speak more on this, but I guess there's cohorts that, as well as local leaders that they describe like what they were working on. But the real one I liked, because I was a builder in my past life, was from I forget the exact name of the neighborhood. It was Petty something in Little Rock, Arkansas. It was the success story of a builder there who did a lot of micro retail with mixed use components around sort of a central park that he created, and just how successful that was. And it was just like applying all the, a lot of people might think these concepts are abstract, but it was like hearing the concrete, like start to finish how he did it. That was pretty interesting. So I would look that up for anyone who's interested in that side of it.
All right, very cool. And so that's just a taste of some of the things. I posted a day 1 recap from the Strong Towns. This weekend I'm going to post a day 2 recap that has more of the sessions that we covered. And so I'll end this on this note, which is that if there's anything anybody wants to do, and you were just looking for the avenue to do it, or if there's something that you guys wanted to do, but you're like, man, I don't have the organizing chops, or I don't know if I'll be able to gather enough people to help me with this. But there's something you want to do, that especially if it's related to walkability, housing, cycling, come to us. We have, there is no shortage of ways that we can use your help. And if you're someone who's like, okay, I want to see Dallas Urbanists succeed, I want to make our city more walkable, I want to see our city become more bikeable and transit oriented, but I just don't have time, then the last thing that you guys can do is donate. And so we have Chelsea here. Chelsea, come up. And Chelsea, let's give her a hand for Chelsea. So as you can imagine, you can see all of the stuff that we're doing right now, putting on this mixer, putting on all these hyperlocal conversations. There's a lot of logistical work. And we have all of our partners who are doing, now we've done, actually, for the past like 3 years, me, others, and I think Chelsea for the past year and a half or so, like we've been all doing all of this as volunteers, right? But where data is all volunteers, everyone's unpaid. But this year, Dallas Urbanists started a new chapter in our life. December, we incorporated as a nonprofit. Earlier this year, we applied for 501c3 status. And so why are we doing all this? Like, why are we, why is fundraising such a big deal? Well, because what we found is that what we need right now is we've got all of these tangents, all of these energized volunteers, all of this momentum, but we're also all just stealing time from work here and there, and everybody's got jobs and families and pets and kids and school that we're trying to juggle. And so what we needed was someone who's every day making sure that email is not lost, making sure that event gets scheduled, making sure the venue is ready and available, making sure that someone's on time to do check-in. And so especially trying to do all these hyper-local conversations across the neighborhood, and now trying to bring on some more programs, we're always going to need volunteers. Like, it doesn't work without volunteers, and we do need more people to step up, but we also need that steadfast, management, communications, doing that traffic direction, and so that's what Chelsea is. So she's done a lot of hard work, so let's give her a hand for that. And I also want to say, like, this is what you're donating to. If you guys go to dallasurbanist.org/donate, you'll see our donation page. We have a little brick program there where if you donate $20 a month, you'll get a little brick there. And all that money, where does that go to? Well, right now in this phase, it's helping her pay her rent, and it's the next thing on our high priority list is getting insurance, some general liability insurance, making sure that all of these things that we're doing doesn't come crashing down if, let's say, we go for a walk audit and someone breaks their ankle or whatever. So we have very big aspirations. And as you can see, with this event, we try to be a center partner to all of these other orgs. And so when you support Dallas Urbanists, you're really supporting the larger movement. And then, you're not just helping this mixer happen, you're making bicycle events happen, housing events happen, all this stuff. You're helping us get the word out about all the things that are going on. And so, yeah, so Chelsea, did you want, I know this was very last minute, but is there any last thing you want to say?
Hello, can you hear me?
It's not in I don't have a mic, I just speak loudly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is, my position with Dallas Urbanists has been a very eye-opening experience, but I mean, one of my goals right now, thanks to Hexel with his insight and vision, is to, kind of make the communications between the residents and city council and the departments within the city of Dallas, make that communication smoother, and, hopefully, with that, we can give the city better feedback on what the residents want and make Dallas more people-centered, Strong Town's principles want. So, yeah, it's been a great experience, and I met someone from Chicago at Strong Towns that made it a goal to walk every neighborhood in Chicago, and I want that energy. I want to bring that to Dallas as well. So if you love your neighborhood in Dallas or wherever in DFW, let's take a walk. Show me your neighborhood, show me what you love about it, and let's just let's be friends. I mean, that's what this is all about, right?
All right, so with that, I'm going to conclude with, if you can volunteer, volunteer. If you can't volunteer, donate. If you can do both. And with that, I hope to see you at our hyper-local conversations coming up, or at our next mixer, or at any of the events that our partners are putting on. And with that, thank you and good night. Good job.
I love how you're shooting for every neighborhood in this region, man. That's
Oh, yeah. Well, starting with every neighborhood in Dallas, but then again, part of Dallas.
Are you talking Addison and